Yeah, that title might seem like it's clickbait, but it's not. Another year of gaming has gone by with a very quiet year from Xbox, a very great year for Nintendo, and a good year for PlayStation. And these are the top 5 games I played this year, or also could be seen as top 10, because I'm going to be including 5 of the 17 old games I played this year, and 5 of the 17 new games I played this year. That's a format I don't see enough people doing, so yeah, some people don't just play only new games. And stick around to the end because I have a shout out to a few games that are either free or on Game Pass that you could try out today. First, the old game. And again, if you only care about the new game, then just give it 30 seconds to a minute. But number 5 for the old games is Telling Lies. I've played this for the first time this year from the studio that their new game this year was Immortality. And I do want to play that after playing this game because Telling Lies is such a neat concept for a video game. It's all live action. You're not controlling a character on screen that's like murdering fools or anything. It's more of a game of you being an investigator and trying to figure out what exactly is it even you're trying to figure out. You have no idea, but you have so much footage to go through and just bouncing around all over this timeline from so many different perspectives and trying to figure out what exactly is the mystery I am solving. And that's just a very unique concept for a game I hadn't seen before. And that was really fun to stream that too, because we're kind of like figuring out collectively together as a community. But for the new game this year, I was super close to putting my addiction that I will shout out later on this list as this spot, but I have reasons that I didn't. So for now, I'm gonna say number 5 is As Dusk Falls, which is such a shocker for this list. Like I never thought As Dusk Falls would even make it in the top 10 if I just thought of my new games. I thought it was just gonna be something okay, but once I went through it, it is so well written, it is so well performed, and the artwork, yes, it takes a moment to get used to, but here's how I thought of it. It is the most high-budget visual novel you will ever play. That's the way I put it. It is the most high-budget visual novel you will ever play, and the amount of trails you can go down with all the decisions you make that shape this story and what happens to these characters. There's so many different trails that they show you after every episode that's like, look at all the results that you got and look at all the different ways this could have gone. I mean, you have no idea. And that kind of makes me wish I got to replay this game before the year was over because I really want to see those other paths. Plus, it is such a fun game to play with a group. This is another one I streamed and there was like an integration with the Twitch chat that we all were collectively making the choices in this game, which added a really crazy thrill to it that I really thought was going to be gimmicky. But no, like this entire game, I had low expectations, and they were blown away. Number 4 for the oldies on this list of things that I liked more than God of War Ragnarok is God of War 2018. Yes, 4 years late, I finally played God of War 2018 for the very first time, and I can tell you right now, I did enjoy 2018 a decent amount more than I enjoyed Ragnarok. 2018 God of War was a freaking awesome game that I got to experience for the first time this year, and it's just the story, you know, being constantly, looking at you Ragnarok, being constantly in this father-son journey that you are shaping this boy and a version of Kratos that is just gonna go down as one of the best game characters ever with super fun combat, a really flushed out world that is so well designed, combat that still kicks ass. It is such a great game and I really enjoyed it. And yes, I enjoyed it more than Ragnarok personally. But number 4 of the new games on this list is the game that is not gonna get enough attention this year and didn't get enough attention at the Game Awards that should have been nominated for Game of the Year in my opinion, Kirby and the Forgotten Lands. I am not a Kirby fan in the slightest. I have not played any of his games since the Super Nintendo, I think, but this game just had me grinning after the slow start. I admit it took me a while to get into this game and I was worried I was gonna drop it, but once I got into the rhythm and really felt the fun that could be had in it, oh, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is just such a good time. With the amount of different abilities and forms you could take on in this game, there's so much variety. And there's so much variety in the maps that you go as well. There's all these different parts of the world and each of them have like a certain biome. And if you know me, I'm a big fan of variety in terms of gameplay and biomes. And that was a problem I had with my Game of the Year last year with Halo Infinite. There was just one bio, but Kirby, no, plenty of forms, plenty of attacks, plenty of ways to play, and plenty of biomes to explore. Plus the soundtrack is absolutely adorable and kick-ass. And boy, does that ending get really anime. The number 3 old game for me this year is what some would deem as one of the best indie games of all time, Inside. Inside came to Game Pass this year, and I played it on stream, and it was something I didn't really comprehend too much my first time through it, but as I like sat down and thought about it, I'm just like, this as a straight through 4-hour suspenseful thriller ride was fantastic all around. So much so that I needed to play through it again, almost right away. Like literally within the week, I had to replay it again. Its art direction, tone, music, all around, this environment and story were crafted to make you feel at the edge of your seat the entire time. It's very rare that you feel like you can relax in this world that just feels like you are never safe, like ever in it, but not in like a horrific way, but it's just the way everything is executed. And I can't really explain it, and it's so good to go in blind because, man, they kind of blow your mind with some things. But that number 3 new game this year is something I was shocked to see nominated for Game of the Year this year at the Game Awards. That would be Plague Tale Requiem. Plague Tale Requiem is the first game, I would say, since Amori, that after I beat it, I was just kind of like sitting down, comprehending the story, and really feeling, you know, just emotionally drained. I hadn't felt that way since playing Amori last year, and shout out to Amori, please play that. That came to all consoles this year. It's on Game Pass, just play it. It's Requiem's story that's the reason why it makes it this high in the list, because the story is just so damn, it just hits, dude. Because this being the follow-up to the first game, you have a stealth action adventure game of you playing as Amicia, a big sister, trying to get her little brother to just safety, but not just that, to have a life. This little boy deserves to have a life. He's so damn innocent, and just hell follows him everywhere he goes. And there's a point in the game that I just literally, I almost shed tears just thinking about what Hugo is going through and him finally realizing what he's going through, and just thinking no little child should ever have to deal with something like this. The puzzles are fun, the gameplay mechanics are fun, and yeah, it's got a bit of a slow start, but I really enjoyed this game, and I need to kind of like jump right into my old game that is the number 2 game of this year, that is Plague Tale Innocence. You know, like, I played both of them this year, and Plague Tale Innocence, when I played that, I literally started my year off, I feel like, with this game, and I was like, dude, this is already a contender for my top spot in terms of the old games I played this year, because boy, Plague Tale Innocence. I don't know if I like the story of it more than Requiem, but it's much more suspenseful, I'm gonna say. Requiem's more emotional, Innocence is more suspenseful because it's really a survival game. You are trying to get to safety in that game, whereas the second game you're trying to find, you know, a means to the end. But Innocence is just a survival situation, and you have to do so many things and try to figure out so many things on how to get there. So it's this kind of constant thriller ride, and I just really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Plague Tale Innocence and Requiem. Requiem you could play on Game Pass. But my runner-up for Game of the Year for 2022 games is something that I wonder if you've even heard about or have any interest in playing. That's Tunic, a game developed by just one man that found a lot of help over time. And boy, I was telling you guys how indies this year is a really tough category to stand out because there's so many great indies this year, but Tunic is the one. Over Stray, over something I'm gonna shout out soon, like, it is such a great indie game and such a great video game in general. There's so many things in it that's super out of the box thinking with these game page manuals that you have to collect that I actually had like real life notes that I took. The end game puzzle to this game, I'm gonna be bold and say I don't think there is a crazier puzzle I have ever had to solve in my life. It is, the end game puzzle is insane if you want to get the true ending to this game. And it looks like this cute Zelda spoof kind of a game, but then you play it and it's like, oh man, this is actually pretty challenging with its roguelike combat and world that has a bit of a grim tone when you kind of dive into some things, and a story that I became a sucker for this year and last year, which is visual storytelling. You don't know what any of these people are saying. You're just kind of making your own interpretations as to what's happening. Tunic is all around, and the music, oh God, the music too is super lo-fi, the video game, I feel, with some occasionally bopping beats. Tunic's a game this year that I feel like a lot of people slept on or didn't bother with, but I'm telling you what, it is freaking great. I can't believe I liked it more than God of War Ragnarok. But some quick shout outs before we get to those top old and new game I played this year. Seriously, please check these things out. They're all on Game Pass and or are free. Spider Heck is a super fun ass party game. Seriously, like I almost made this an award show and I was gonna just be like party game of the year, Spider Heck. The music is bopping, the visual presentation is super duper neon, just good lightness. And the combat is super fluid with how you are spiders climbing up walls, web swinging and booming with all these weapons. It's such a fun game to play with people. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is such a good co-op game to play and it's super quick. You could probably beat it in like 2 hours unless you're having a hard time, then maybe 3, but just super retro with what is, in my opinion, one of the best soundtracks of the year, if not the best soundtrack. Tinykin, in a great year for indies, was one of the best. It seriously was teetering at that 5th spot on my list. I am a huge Pikmin fan, and that's what Tinykin caters to. If you like Pikmin, check out Tinykin, because it is an indie game that won't really take you that much either. It's like maybe 6 to 10 hours where you might have a fun collectathon to do, or you could skip it, but boy, super fun indie game. The 3 previous ones I said are on Game Pass, so that's how you can play them, but what's for free is my addiction of the year that I almost was like, is this my game of the year? That is Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. I put way too much time into this game, and it would probably have been my 5th spot in this list, but I feel kind of weird because I loved Yu-Gi-Oh! As a kid, and this is my like resurgence into getting into that game and having a video game that I can actually play and learn modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! And the free to play stuff. Like, I haven't put a dime into the game, but I managed to make a lot of decks that I like. Oh, it's my guilty pleasure of the year. And on screen here, you can see other games this year that I thought were super worth my time. But for my favorite games that I played in 2022, first, that old game. This was the game that I wanted to play most last year that I did not get to. Yes, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. This game from top to bottom, I freaking love it. Like, yeah, the soundtrack isn't anything too major in my opinion, but it goes with the game. Everything else, I freaking love it. The combat, the weapons that you use, how you upgrade those weapons naturally. Yeah, they're a grind, but just use them. Just go in the combat arena and play around with them. The characters, oh God, Ratchet's great, but this newcomer, Rivet, is so much fun. She's such a great addition to the Ratchet & Clank lore, and I want to see more of her. And I was kind of worried because most of the game, it seemed like I was spending with her, but then I was actually kind of glad because she's such a great character. Insomniac's one of my favorite studios out there, and they just nailed this game between the visuals, the gameplay, the story, all around. It's such a great package, and the diverse biomes. I'm a fan of diverse biomes. And after I played it, that's what finally topped Plague Tale Innocence for me as my favorite game that wasn't 2022. But how about that 2022 one? I had zero interest to play Elden Ring when I first heard about it because I never played a FromSoft game, and all I associated with those games is just them being hard as balls and gothic and whatever, and just not my style. But I heard the word of mouth, and then I bought it and tried it, and I am still not through this damn game yet. Everybody's beaten it in around 70 to 90 hours, but I am still in my first playthrough in over 160 hours in, and that's because I am so in love with this game and its world. I want to explore every nook and cranny of it because it is just phenomenal from top to bottom. This game is definitively your adventure and how you choose to go about it. Unlike Ragnarok that shoves side quests in your face when you're trying to do the main narrative, this one, it just cuts you loose, go anywhere you want, whatever you want, and become the Elden Lord however means you wish. And that concept and how much freaking care and detail got put in this world makes me just I just have so much to do in it. It's daunting. Not to mention, yeah, how hard the game is kind of the motivator. I always like being motivated to complete a game because I want to become stronger, not because I want to solve this puzzle. And Elden Ring is that. It is the more you do in the game, the more powerful you will become, and therefore the easier some of these challenging bosses will be. It is literally a game that I think will go down as one of the best games in my life I have ever played because I don't know how FromSoft did it. I don't know how they thought of so much in this world and putting so much in this world and all the variety of combat and stuff you can do. And that is why Elden Ring is the game that I did not finish this year. That is still my game of the year. And while many of my most anticipated games of 2022 aren't on this list, that's probably because I didn't play them or they got delayed. If you want to know what those games are, you can click the video on screen here and let me know what were your favorite games of the year and why. Chat with me in the comments. Don't forget to be proud, be awesome, and subscribe if you want to build up 2023.